Alright guys, the showdown for the ages, Tuanon versus the social media quarterback. The irony runs deep. In the showdown of quarterbacks picked 5th and 6th overall in the 2020 draft, respectively, Tua shat the bed, frankly. Well, Justin Herbert played incredibly. Now, you can call me a Tua hater, you can call me a Herbo fanboy, I don't care. What I will say is, the Chargers figured something out that the San Francisco 49ers actually put on tape the week before. Both teams dropped their linebackers deep in coverage to take away the middle of the field, those intermediate throws that Tua and Mike McDaniel love giving Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill so much. And Tua cannot function without them. He doesn't process, he does not progress through his reads, he does not use his eyes to hold things, and it turns out that all that anticipation that people were giving him credit for earlier in the season was just him marrying himself to his first read or his hot route and throwing it there regardless of whether or not it was open. It turns out he can't anticipate or progress very well at all, and post-snap, he is not an intelligent quarterback, and I'll show you exactly why. And then his accuracy was putrid, his arm talent's not very good. These things are on tape and you can see them, but pay special attention while you watch this video to how the linebackers are affecting what Tua can do in the middle of the field, and how Tua is, just look at his head when he's passing. It doesn't move. It stays on the first read, and there's a reason for that. He's not the savvy, cerebral quarterback that Justin Herbert or a Tom Brady are after the snap. Without further ado, enough blather, enough bias. Let's see some film. So the Dolphins are going to come out slinging it. They're going deep on a wheel route to Tyreek Hill as usual. Now, as you can see, before Tyreek has to start coming back towards the ball, he's got this backup safety, Gilman, totally cooked. It's a young backup strong safety who is not supposed to be in coverage on Tyreek Hill, but Mike McDaniel's a genius, uses the wheel route out of the slot to get Tyreek wide open. Notice how Tyreek has to come back towards the ball. Notice how the ball actually is easier for the defensive back to catch than it is for Tyreek to catch. Now, it's not quite a pickable, but it's goddamn close. And if this was a quarterback that I'm typically accused of being biased towards, such as a Baker Mayfield or Marcus Mariota, I would call it pickable. But because it's Tua, and you guys call me a hater, I'm going to be careful and call it a bad pass. And I don't think it'll matter much. Now there's another bad pass. You might be thinking, but Joe, it hits him in the hands. It kind of hits him in the hands. But you'll notice that there's also an arm from the cornerback in his face. Or, literally, this ball's broken up because it was not an open receiver. Tua stares down his number one read. It's 2nd and 10. Instead of hitting this running back who's going to be uncovered, slipping out, right here, totally, this is at least 3 yards right here. He tries to go to his number one wide read, not his number one wide receiver necessarily, but definitely his number one read, who is covered with a trail technique. The ball is not placed well enough. It should be down and outside. Instead, it's up and centered. And because of that, the ball gets broken up. It's not an inaccurate pass from Tua. It's just a bad decision. Here, let's be gracious to Tua and say that it's a good pass. Let's call it a solid pass. Personally, I think that this ball's a little too far outside. It's Tyreek Hill. He catches it if it's right. It's a curl. He's supposed to stop and look right back towards the ball and get it. We're going to ignore the fact that 14 up here, wide receiver 3, I love him, and I always forget his name. Number 14 is wide open on a corner route, and Gesicki's going to be wide open on a seam route. And Tua looks at his first read, like always, and never progresses past the snap. And he misses. He's too far outside. Tua has to move to the left after he's already stopped and button hooked. It's a bad throw. It's a bad throw. Due to some incredible play calling, the Chargers stall out on the doorstep of the end zone, as they have a propensity to do this year. Joe Lombardi has no creativity. But on the bright side, at least the Dolphins are completely backed up, right? So 2nd and 9. They go with their classic RPO look, the Jimmy Garoppolo pass, and again, Tua just doesn't place this ball well enough. Now, I understand Tua fans are going to say it hit him. It hit him in the chest. This ball is right here. It's on Tyreek's outside shoulder, so his left shoulder here, right? And he's running to his right. If this ball is placed properly and not behind the receiver, it's an easy catch. But because it's a bad throw, it makes it a contested catch. It gives the defensive back a chance to get in on the ball. It's a bad throw. There's a reason it was not completed. That's not a drop. That's a breakup. Here, Tua has decent placement. It's a solid throw. Good job. That's how you move the chains. Also, good job by Tyreek to fight through and win that ball. See, here, Tua actually reads the play. He wants his RPO slant up the middle, like always. It's not there. His second look is going to be this little bubble by the tight end, but that's pretty well covered. And then he's going to have a little screen out to the running back. That's not even a running back. It's Tyreek Hill. This all might have been designed. That's the beauty of having Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Yeah, this is all designed. It's an RPO screen. So either he's firing it to Waddle right here behind the linebacker, which obviously you can't do, or he's going to throw the ball right here to Tyreek on the screen. Get the ball into your best player's hands. It's a pedestrian play. It's not a particularly great read. It is just exactly what you would expect from a quarterback who knows what's going on. He didn't mess up, and that's nice, but you don't get kudos for not messing up. Otherwise, we would get everybody on the Miami Dolphins offensive line credit when they don't false start. That would be absurd, right? All right, here, this ball should have been picked by 2 players. This is a pickable ball. This is downright interceptable. I mean, Kenneth Murray right there totally just misses it. And then this, number 49, I think that's Drew Tranquill, he also misses it. If either one of those players would have made a normal, decent play, that's a pick, and the Chargers are in field goal range already. So through 2 series, Tua has been the reason they're losing. Now, you might be thinking there's nobody else open. Tua had nowhere to go. I disagree. He had a streak on the outside up here that's wide open. That is a yard of separation. If Tua puts that ball 10 yards downfield from there, that's a huge gain. That's a touchdown capability. But he is staring at his first read. He wants Tyreek every time. Drive 3 starts with a run. And then, so this is the beauty of Mike McDaniel. On the first down, they do that like inside pitch that everybody came themselves over when Kyle Shanahan called it earlier in the year. And then on second down, they run a play action off the exact same play. And here, again, Tyreek's got a wide open man. You put that ball right here where my mouse clicker is, lead him inside and use that, because he's got leverage, right? The cornerback's over the top, so don't throw it deep. You want to throw it shallow. Tua either just misses or doesn't understand how leverage works. It's a bad pass. And no, do not blame Tyreek Hill. He was open. A quarterback with some arm strength that could put that on a line, that is a huge gain. It's wide open. Here on 3rd and 13, really nothing Tua can do. That's not his fault at all. Like, some sacks are just because you get failed by your offensive line, and that's what happens here. Absolute no-fault sack. It's not a negative play. It's not his fault at all. All right, drive 4, and the Dolphins really need something because this game's starting to get out of hand a little bit, and Tua misses. Now, I understand. You could say that that could be a holding right here. That could be a hold. The ball landed out of bounds. It's a bad throw, regardless of whatever penalties may or may not have been called. And you could say that the Dolphins deserved that call, but you can't say that Tua made a good throw. And same right there. This is just another case of Tua staring at his first read. The things that... So here's the problem. Earlier in the year when Tua makes this throw, we call it great anticipation because he's staring at his first read and he's throwing it to him no matter what. Well, when you play against teams that know what's going on or that have better players, great anticipation becomes throwing into coverage. That ball should have been high. It should have been outside. Instead, he put it directly into the cornerback. And sure, you can call it defensive pass interference. He might have been a little early. But that was a bad throw. Like, the average starting cornerback breaks that up. That's just what happens. And then here, the Dolphins have a miracle. Tyreek recovers a fumble and takes it house. There is no justice in this world, but there is speed. On to drive 5. Before drive 6 gets underway, I just want to point out that the only reason this game is close is because Tua's team has carried him. And by Tua's team, I mean Tyreek Hill picking up a fumble has carried him. Tua's been the problem. Somebody on Twitter was trying to tell me this is not Tua's fault. It could not be any more Tua's fault. Okay, here, Tua does a really good job. This is a plus pocket movement, his first of the day. Right here, He sees the jumper, he holds on for a second, and he floats the ball over him. Awesome. This gives the screen a chance. And then he throws the fucking screen worse than I'd throw with my left hand. That's a terrible throw. And now, sure, because he pump faked, you're going to have an illegal man downfield because he threw off the timing on the play. And that's going to happen. I would rather he do that and, you know, hope against hope that the ref misses the call, rather than eating a sack or eating an incompletion. Give yourself a chance. Here, another good pocket movement to avoid that first rusher. Van Noy had a big day against his ex-team, and then it's just a plus movement throwaway. It's a positive throwaway. Live to fight another day. 3rd and 10. Solid play. And look at that. It's not to Tyreek or Waddle. It's to the lost third receiver, Cedric Wilson, who I was really excited about coming into this year. He's a good player. But you'll notice, like, he threw it right across the middle of the field, 10 yards downfield every time. It's never a high degree of difficulty. It's a solid throw. It's not a great throw. It's not special. Now, there's something to be said for making the right reads, but we've seen already that Tua's not actually reading these plays very well. There, that's another positive throwaway. 2+ moves and a throwaway. It's a good play to just get the ball off and not get sacked when you got a free rusher like that on a rollout. Third and 14, you need something deep. This is not Tua's forte. They go empty. He's got dudes. He's got dudes. What is that? Let's say that there are open receivers elsewhere. I mean, there are. There's 2 guys right here. These are both open. But let's say that this receiver was going to break out, right? Let's say the Sherfield was about to win downfield. The ball lands 2 yards out of bounds. It's a terrible decision and a worse throw. And, God, I wish that the coaching film was already out so that I could show you the tight copy, because these 2 receivers at the top here are going to be wide open. 1, 2, they're open here. I mean, wide open on the seam. Open down the streak. Open in the middle of the field. Like, you could gun that in there. He looks at his first read, he knows where the ball's supposed to go before the snap, and he stops thinking. And he's not nearly talented enough as a passer to get away with that against decent defenses or coverages that actually exist. Again, I don't know how you blame anybody but Tua for this debacle. He's got open receivers, he's got good route concepts, he's even got open receivers on his first read half the time, and he cannot make a pass. Mentally, it's not there. Physically, we know it never was there, and now his accuracy is shit too. This is a terrible performance. So, 18 seconds left in the half. They're probably just going to run some little shit, try to get out of the half alive, see if they can break off a big play. Instead, it gets blown up to it with a positive throwaway, just gets rid of it. And they run out the clock. It's the end of the first half, and it's looking bleak. Dolphins open up the second half with a first down run, and it goes nowhere. It's another passing. Clean pocket, plenty of time. What the fuck is this? Where is this ball? He guns this ball as hard as he can, goes about 20 yards downfield, and it's way behind. And he's throwing into quadruple coverage. He's got 2 dudes who are double covered right here. Which is odd, because he's got a tight end open underneath. And he's got a curl over here that would have been open if he threw it with proper timing. He is zeroing in. It's not a coincidence that that's Jalen Waddle and that's Tyreek Hill. He cannot progress after the snap. He does not read his route concepts. He does not read defenses. He simply throws to wide receiver 1 on any given play, the designated hot route. Here, again, it's just behind the receiver. And I understand it's tougher, 3rd and 9, but it's a very clean pocket, and the ball's just behind. You've got Asante Samuel, who's 5'8". Okay, defender right here, 5'8". Receiver here, like 6'5", 6'6". Put that ball high and outside, or inside rather. Lead him. Throw to his left shoulder, not his right shoulder. Instead, it's a back shoulder that's low. There's one place on earth where you can give that defensive back a chance at playing the ball against Mike Gesicki, and he did it. He put it there. It couldn't have been intentional. It's just a miss because he doesn't have the arm strength to comfortably throw 20 yards downfield. And when you're overthrowing, your accuracy fails you. Somehow, the Dolphins are still only down 10 points. So this is a game. It's just that they don't seem intent upon doing anything about it. You come out running the ball, it's fairly successful, but you're down 10 points, you got to throw. Clean pocket, tons of time. Tua gets skittish, pulls it down, and runs. It's a neutral run, but he didn't need to bail from that pocket. Fuck, I wish I had the coach's copy so I could tell you if dudes were open. I know that his two flats, both of his checkdowns were not open. But he did not need to run that. He had time. It's a neutral run. It's not a negative thing. Okay, here, this is his best throw of the night. Clean pocket, 3rd and 5. Notice that Tyreek has about 2 steps on the defender already, and then the defender falls. We'll call it a great throw. It's not elite. If the defender is on his feet and not falling down, absolutely a chance at breaking that up. But he hit him in stride. It's a good throw. Deep downfield, touchdown. You can't knock it. Great throw. Dolphins come out running again. Don't love that, but it works, eh? 10 yards is 10 yards. Now he's got a clean pocket all day to step up. He's got a wide open tight end here for 10 yards. If he throws this ball to Durham Smythe, it's 10 yards. I don't know what else is going on downfield, but I know he didn't have to pull this down and try to run it. So he's not processing, still. But it is a positive run. It's a good run. Got like 15 yards. Fuck yeah, it's a positive play. Just as good as a solid throw. But, just for our own edification, know that Tua is not progressing. He is not reading the play going read 1 to read 2 to read 3. He's looking at read 1, and if it ain't there, he's panicking. Here, again, middle of the field. Wide open on 2nd and 10. Do you want 3rd and 5? It's right there. Take it. Everybody can hit that pass. Or, right here, the running back. Do you want 2nd and 7? Because it's there too. Hell, this is also 2nd and 7. It's right there. And he can't throw the ball. It's a bad pass. And I'll tell you why he's hesitating and throwing these short passes. And this is a theme throughout the day. The Chargers are dropping their linebackers really, really deep. So you'll see they have everybody at the line of scrimmage here. It looks like pressure's going to come. And then they drop out. They have 2 of those dudes drop out, so they only have a 4-man rush, and they go 10 yards downfield, the linebackers do. So that takes away all those inside slants, those RPOs that Tua and Jimmy G basically live off of. You can't do them. Here, this is not Tua's fault. This is just what happens when you get beat to hell on 3rd and long. It's a no-fault sack whatsoever. But again, notice the coverage. Linebackers are 10 yards deep in curl zones. They're looking to take away those middle curls. They're looking to take away those, short posts, those deep slants. All those middle cutting routes that Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are constantly running, they're taking them away. And when they cloud the middle of the field, Tua doesn't know what to do because he can't process fast enough. All right, it's a 6-point game. Let's see what Tua's got. He starts off with a routine throw to the outside. Very nice. Waddle makes something out of it. I think that's his first catch of the day. Here, clean-ass pocket to start with. So let's watch the play develop. Right here, it's 2nd and 8. Do you want 3rd and 5? Because it's here for the taking, at the minimum. He loads up because he wants to go outside, and he realizes it's not there. So he scrambles because he's looking at his first read. He's not reading the play at all. And again, it's a good run. It's a positive, good run. But his processing is bad. And it's because they've taken away the one thing he knows how to do, which is throw to his first 2 reads deep in the middle of the field. And not even deep, just intermediate. Here, I'm going to call this a sack, because it should have been intentional grounding. Now, it's not his fault that this rusher gets in free. But it is his fault that he takes the intentional grounding by throwing the ball down the middle of the field. There's nobody nearby. He's in the pocket. So he has to aim at a receiver, and instead of airmailing it way above somebody's head, he throws it nowhere. That is intentional grounding. And that is a sack credited to him, because it is a bad decision. And it sucks, because if he would have just thrown the ball high to the sideline where one of his receivers was, it would have been a very positive play. But here, he screws himself, and then he throws the screen, which obviously is a routine pass anybody makes. So here's for all the marbles, and Tua goes deep. Why? Well, because Tua doesn't read the defense. He doesn't see that he's got a man wide open right here. He sees that Tyreek Hill is running straight. And that quote-unquote great anticipation turns into an obscene arm punt into triple coverage when everything doesn't work out perfectly for your quarterback. Now he gets bailed out as a penalty, but that's a bad throw. Here he's under pressure, he's heated up, you give him a little plus movement, and he hits the pedestrian throw. He hits the little Texas route. Good for you. Here, he hits the short curl against prevent defense. Routine. And another inside short route against prevent defense. Now notice how far back the linebackers are dropping. Linebackers, you got a defensive lineman. You got 3 dudes 10 yards downfield and 2 dudes about 15 yards downfield, plus a robber coverage safety. They are flooding the middle of the field with zones, knowing that Tua is not going deep on them, and Tua can't drive the ball outside. Here, that's really good pocket movement. Give him credit for that, and a routine throw. That's bad. That's behind him. If you're going to throw into triple coverage... Now, see, remember I've been telling you about how they keep on dropping 3 linebackers here? It's because this is what Tua wants to do. This is the exact play that they want to run in Miami. Note the wide open curl right here for a first down. If you're going to throw this ball into triple coverage, which you shouldn't do, it needs to be towards the middle of the field, so inside, and it needs to be low, so that Sherfield can catch it while sliding and avoid getting beheaded. Throws like that, it's behind him, so it's not catchable. But at that height of throw, that's how Jermichael Finley's career gets ended. That's called a hospital ball. Tua's just lucky he's so inaccurate that he couldn't throw a hospital ball. And again, another poor downfield pass. Waddle's not open, and the ball lands out of bounds. And that's going to be the game. Now, you could argue on that last play that maybe Waddle needs to track the ball better and he could have made a play. You could argue that. If Waddle looks outside shoulder, maybe he sees that. And you could have made an incredible catch. It would have been tough, but it could have been made. Maybe. Maybe throw it to this guy. Maybe throw it to one of these curls. Now, I know that once the ball's in the air, coverages dissolve, right? But right here, you've already got it. You want Sherfield for the first down? It's right here. It's 3rd and 2. You need this. Take it. Already, ball is not in the air yet, and you got whoever the fuck this is wide open. I'm going to guess it's Tyreek because it's a wide receiver that's not Waddle and not Sherfield. But yeah, you had him. You had everything you wanted right there. This should have been a field goal game. Now, it wouldn't have mattered. You don't get the onside kick, but enough of me bitching about Tua. Let's look at the charts, see what they say. Because this was such an important game for so many narratives that are so popular in the media right now, and on Twitter, I graded this game really intensely. I took notes on it, and I also broke my grades down into halves. So in the first half, Tua put up a negative 12.5 slugging. 2/3 of his plays were negative. Just about a quarter of his plays were accurate, and almost 10% of his plays were positive. That's fucking terrible. That's probably the worst half of football I've ever seen played in the NFL. He had no elite passes or great passes. He had the 2 solid passes, 2 routine passes, 10 bad passes, and that pickable that 2 linebackers had a chance at. Took a sack he shouldn't have, took a sack that wasn't his fault at all, had a throwaway, and had 3 pocket manipulations that I deemed positive. That's terrible. Now, he was better in the second half, but he was still really bad. He finished the game with no elite throws. He had the 1 great throw to Tyreek where the cornerback fell down. We're being gracious. He didn't have any solid throws in the second half. 8 routine throws on the day, most of which came in the final drive, that prevent defense garbage time when they were down 2 possessions. 16 bad passes, the pickable I mentioned earlier, 2 negative sacks, one of which was that intentional grounding penalty. 2 sacks that just weren't his fault. A throwaway, other than the intentional grounding penalty, obviously. The 2 positive runs, which were kind of impressive, but we mentioned during the video, more a product of the fact that he's not processing well. He's not seeing his receivers open up. He's not understanding how his progressions work in his plays. He only had 6 positive movements on the night, so it's not like he was under pressure. This was actually a pretty simple, stable game from a pressure perspective, Tua just missed. He was accurate on 39% of his passes. That's not completion percentage, that's accuracy. He gets the benefit of every drop. He just wasn't good. Negative play on almost 56% of snaps. Positive play on only 14% of snaps. That's really bad. And frankly, after the way he played against San Francisco, it's starting to look like he's been figured out. It's starting to look like both of these teams are dropping their linebackers deep, taking away those deep slants and short posts, whatever the fuck you want to call them. They're the same, basically, bend veer route. And when Tyreek and Waddle aren't wide open in the middle of the field or on a deep streak that is totally uncovered, Tua can't do shit, even against a bad defense with backups. Like, when the Chargers have their starters in, they're not so good on defense. When they have all backups in their secondary, and they don't have Joey Bosa, they're bad. And Tua absolutely should have lit them up, but he did not. And again, we saw the same thing against San Francisco last week. And I think we're going to see the exact same thing against Buffalo this week, who plays a lot of nickel, and they drop their linebackers in coverage. It's going to look identical to this. I know Tua had a hot little streak there statistically, but I think that his production is going to sink to match his performance. I know Tuanon's like itching to get at my throat, so hit me in the comments. Hit me with a timestamp, so say where in the video the play is that you disagree on, and tell me what you disagree with. As the week goes on, if it becomes available or if it's necessary, I can go find some All-22 and make a little mini video or an addendum to explain some things further. If you want to learn, ask. If you want to argue, use timestamps. If you want to hit me with some intangible bullshit about how Tua's a leader, he's great, or it's somebody else's fault, you can probably just keep that one to yourself. Till next time, hasta.